There are many platformers that are released in the gaming industry today, many of which never get a chance to be criticized. They simply come out and immediately fade into obscurity. So when Fish and Cactus released Shift Quantum, I just knew that this game was going to be something special. What is happening, everybody? Mattmade here. Shift Quantum is a puzzle platformer developed and published by Fish and Cactus and released on Steam back in May of this year. Its cool art style and fun puzzle solving put it in a class all its own. The game starts by asking you a few questions and then thrusts you right in. The story is very minimal and there is no dialogue anywhere. Instead, what little story the game has is told through cutscenes and the stages themselves. As you are solving puzzles and making your way through the game, you keep running into a mysterious little girl. This girl drops her scarf and you, for whatever odd reason, decide to pick it up. More on that later. From there, the scarf is the only real color in the game and makes a huge difference when it comes to presentation. This little addition in color goes a long way. The objective of Shift Quantum is simple. Find your way to the exit located somewhere in the stage. However, making your way to that exit is anything but. To get there, you must shift between two dimensions, represented by black and white respectively. Each dimension has its own platforms, and figuring out how to navigate both is your only ticket to getting to the exit. As you progress through each area, the difficulty increases at a nice pace. For instance, when you first start, there are no dangers or pitfalls. Then, as you play, you run into things like spikes, boxes that exist in one dimension but not the other, and switches. The pacing and difficulty allows the player to familiarize themselves with each new mechanic and figure out how they work before moving on to the next one and then combining them. The shifting mechanic does take some getting used to as the screen flips and inverts. This switches the direction of the stage and you can easily get turned around if you aren't careful. Also, the two dimensions are mirrors of each other, so the empty space in one will become the platforms in the other. This somewhat allows you to guess whether white and black platforms will lead, and how you need to be positioned in order to make progress. There will be many times where you have to go around obstacles and push blocks in both dimensions in order to make a bit of headway. The puzzles can get quite complex, however there are only a few times when I really had to stop and think in order to figure one out. Aside from simply getting to the exit, there are these strange collectibles called codes. When I first started up the game and jumped in, I believed that I had to collect these in order to get through the exit. Only later to find out that nope, these were entirely optional and for completion's sake. If you can't figure out how to get one or just don't care about it, then you can leave it behind and come back for it later. These collectibles are sometimes quite a bit harder to get to than the exit, making you go out of your way in order to find them or to get to them. Touching back on the little girl, she seemed to not only be another character in the game, but also a sort of guide and tutorial for new mechanics. When she appears, the following stages seem to be a bit more difficult and introduce some new mechanics. She is also completely aware of your presence and will assist you or stare at you while you're platforming. She seems to only exist in the black dimension and will disappear when you're close, only to pop up in another part of the stage. It's both really creepy and really cool. The visuals in Shift Quantum are unique and interesting. Each stage is self-contained and simplistic in its presentation. The only dynamic part about each stage is the background. The background has all sorts of signage and cars moving. It gives the stage life and really makes you wonder if there are some hidden messages in the signs or somewhere in the background. As you shift back and forth, some weird things do happen with the background. At times when you shift, there will be eyes in the background just staring at you, scrutinizing your every move and making you feel pretty creeped out by them. Whether these eyes are simply a figment of the main character's imagination or a dark twisted vision is unknown, and I'm totally fine with not knowing, cause man those things are weird. The art style and presentation are also really good. It feels like a Blade Runner and Inception had a baby, and that baby just wants to be all noir and introspective. Which is odd, but it works well for what it is. The main character looks great, and the cutscenes are shown in a motion graphics sort of way, which are always great to see. The black and white art style with minimal splashes of color work wonders to set the game apart. Visuals aside, the gameplay is really fun and easy to learn. The platforming doesn't require you to be pixel perfect or duck and dodge enemies. Instead, the game focuses on the puzzles, with the platforming being secondary. That isn't to say that the platforming is bad in any way. It is tight and works well. However, it's not on the level of something like Celeste, where a mistimed jump could lead to your death. Instead, the only thing that you're really trying to avoid are the spikes. This allows your primary focus to be on figuring out how to get to the exit and getting the collectible. The music in Shift Quantum is great. While there may not be a ton of tracks, the ones that are there are amazing. They get you pumped up and help set the tone of the game. The tracks are upbeat, hard-hitting, and give off techno vibes. More than once, I found myself nodding my head along with the beat while trying to figure out a puzzle. The soundtrack works with the game to increase the player's immersion in the world. Aside from the main game, you can also craft and upload your own stages for others to enjoy, a la Super Mario Maker. This is really cool and adds replayability on top of making the community more active and keeping the game alive. This is a nice touch, and you can make some really in-depth and complex stages to torture your friends or random internet people who think they're the best at platforming. Overall, Shift Quantum is a fun and unique experience that you won't find in other games. The combination of simple colors, puzzles, and graphic novel-esque cutscenes really make this game unique and worth playing. And at the price of $20, it's a low bar of entry, and there's almost no reason not to at least try the game. Also, if you're really feeling the soundtrack, you can purchase that for an extra $6. But what do you all think? Does Shift Quantum seem interesting? Do you like the minimalist approach to the art style? Did you enjoy Inception? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. And don't forget, if you're a fan of gaming, consider striking that subscribe button and hitting the bell. This is Mattmade, and I will see you tomorrow.